All right, this is a very good comment right here. It's part of a larger comment, but the first part of this comment talks about the Lucifer effect, and the second part of this comment talks about culture in the sense that people from the country can't really relate to people from the city. Regarding the first part of this comment, the Lucifer effect was something that was, it's a term or idea that was created or coined by Philip Zimbardo. He's the guy that ran the Stanford prison experiment. And in that experiment, there was a group of college students, and they volunteered to either be inmates or COs. And the experiment only lasted a couple days before they had to cancel the experiment because the correctional officers in this situation were getting carried away with themselves, making them do ridiculous corporal punishment, getting naked, doing things like this over just a short period of time. A matter of just a couple days, they had to end the experiment. It's really crazy whenever you think about that. A correctional officer could work 30 years in the Texas Department of Criminal Justice. An inmate might be there for 30 years. And you can see how, like, that kind of having that kind of authority and power over a person, it can just really easily get carried away and out of hand if it's not really kept in check by strict rules and structures, right? And you can also see how that takes away from the autonomy of the individual that is constantly under the thumb of like an oppressive individual, right? So I get that aspect of it too. So in regarding the second part of the culture, the culture in here, to me, I see what they're saying. If you're from the country, you're not going to relate to the city. But also, let me add to that and say that being a correctional officer is a culture. There's a culture while working there. Being an inmate there's a culture there. Being a convict, there's a culture there, right? The ways they walk, talk, act, breathe, the whole thing is like a culture. It's like a subculture, of a culture, essentially, right? And so let me just pointing that out now. And then also to the second part of that is what he's talking about, like somebody from the city ain't going to relate to somebody from the country and vice versa. And I think that's reasonable and valid and true, right? If I want to give you an example real quick from my personal life. My wife loves to watch The Real Housewives of wherever. In particular, she always is watching The Real Housewives of Atlanta. And I cannot stand that damn show. Because I can't stand it because, well, one of these women are two-faced and they don't like each other, and they're like, hey, let's go on vacation, and then they fight the whole damn time, which is crazy to me. But the real reason I can't stand it is because I know that there are people in rural America that do not have any interaction with people that look differently than themselves. And when they turn on the TV is the only information or input that these people are getting. Nowadays, you also got the internet. It's just as bad, just as misogynistic, just as negative. It's just can be a terrible cesspool. But the relevance is this. It's important because if I'm from a small town and I'm never around any black women, then I may start to believe that all black women behave this kind of way. They all are loud. They're all obnoxious. They're all whatever. And this isn't just a hit on black women, right? This is about trying to make people see the picture more easily. But it could be white people, Mexican people, black people, Indian people, Hawaiian people. If you turn on the TV or turn on your social media and all you ever see is a negative representation of those people, then you'll start to buy into that idea that those people, when you run across them, they're going to be loud, obnoxious, and yada yada, right? So it's a misrepresentation of an entire culture. But now, if you're the young kid that the only exposure you ever had was Real Housewives of Atlanta. Now you go work in a woman's prison, and then every time you get around a woman, the only thing echoing in your mind is how loud and how they fight and how they do all these things. See, it's created this very negative picture in a person's mind, and the TV and the media have no problem streaming that directly to you. All right? So now that's all. If we bring it back to the prison thing, if we view ourselves in a certain kind of light, in a certain kind of way, and if we view other people in a certain kind of light, in a certain kind of way, it will have everything to do with how we treat those people, right? You will start to treat these people based off of this false idea or narrative that's been created in your mind behind whatever reason. And there are some very big cultural differences between the way that people walk, talk, act. Like some people, like in the country, there's this idea we're slow and we talk slow, and your southern drawl, if you're in Texas, that another deal. And if you're from the city, you're a mover, a shaker, or whatever. You know what I mean? These are ideas that people have, about one another. In reality, the reality of the situation is we all have more in common than we have that divide us. We all have more in common than we are more alike than unalike, is what I should say. But anyway, this was a great comment. This was a long post. I apologize for that. Y'all have a good day. I'll holler at you next time.